And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again, another day committed to being your consumer advocate, all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got a great lineup for you here on the program today. Later on, we're going to hear from our home inspector, Prohealth Pest Control, Dan Minikheim on the program. He does the termite and pest control as well. John Long's in the house, as well as Doug LEVI, Strategic Insurance. And we're going to talk about some of the things in the news, Super Bowl, follow-up from the Super Bowl. We're going to have the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking talk about the 494 arrested outside of Super Bowl in a sting operation with human trafficking. And also Doug LEVI is going to update us on insurance market, some of the changes going on, and companies are actually folding. So it's big news in the insurance markets here as well. And as you know, I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And we like to feature our real estate listings live on air, help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovations with radio, TV, and internet marketing. We've got one of the highest list price to sell price ratios in the industry. We got a hot property here, 4823 Ebbtide Lane, number 405. This is a penthouse available in Port Richey, waterfront, on the river, Gulf of Mexico views, covered parking, pool on site, beautiful property here, about 1,100 square feet. Now, it's currently a one-bedroom, could be easily converted back to a two-bedroom with two baths, and it is a penthouse suite available at 4823 Ebbtide Lane, unit number 405. That's in Port Richey, and it's a great opportunity to own real estate here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Of course, you have an elevator in the building, pool, Gulf of Mexico views, gorgeous property. And you can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And let's get our introductions in place here. We got John Long, United States Institute Against Human Trafficking. Welcome back in, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. And what did you want to talk about today? Of course, the big news, kind of a follow-up from the Super Bowl, as I mentioned in the opening there. 494 arrested, but you said not many of them get prosecuted.
Yeah, almost 500 get arrested, and right now there's only 7 criminal cases since the Super Bowl. And so that's a huge issue that we're trying to bring light to.
Wow.
It's not just enough to arrest, but it's time to prosecute.
Yeah, I mean, if I had that kind of pull-through rate, I'd be living on the streets, Like, I would not be able to stay in business. What's going on there?
It's hard to prosecute. Oftentimes they want the individual, the woman or the child, to be part of the court case, and they have to present in front of the person that was trafficking them, and a lot of times the victim doesn't want to do that.
Wow.
And it's a lot easier to charge them with something less than trafficking, and so they go for what's least resistance.
So they work a deal,
Yep.
take a little bit of a deal there, and they get charged for something that they don't have to register as a sexual offender.
Correct.
Oh man. All right, interesting. All right, more from John Long coming up here, one of our nonprofit partners here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Support the show. We greatly appreciate it. We can bring on the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking, Children's Cancer Center, Cons Helping Cons, companies like that because of your support. So reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. You can call the hotline. It's an off-air number, 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. Thank you for those that did call in. Last week, got a lot of calls, people calling in for real estate and mortgage advice, self-defense. They wanted to talk to some of our self-defense experts, attorneys. We always give out a lot of attorney referrals every week. So whatever you're facing out there, legal challenges, financial challenges, think of the show as your financial, the hub of that wheel, that spokes extending out all those different areas of business and life. 813-917-1894. Local company here in Tampa Bay, supporting the local economy. We're going to go to the phone lines here. We got Doug LEVI, Strategic Insurance. Doug, lots of changes, it seems, as you were telling me a little bit prior to on the insurance markets and some of the stuff. It seems like some really challenging times for some of these insurance companies.
Yeah, Brandon, it's always good to be here. I joked before the show, I've got a little bit of laryngitis, so if I sound like Louis Armstrong out there to any of the listeners, I apologize in advance, but we're happy to be here, always happy to be here, man, and just trying to share good, relevant info. So this is a really big one, and literally just got announced last week. There's a carrier named St. John's Insurance. They have about 150,000 policies in Florida, so they're a fairly large carrier. They're, from some information I have from my insurance journal, they're about the 8th largest carrier in Florida, and they just got put into receivership by the state. So what does that mean? Basically, they're going out of business. They don't have enough money to continue operations. And the rating carrier, the rating agency, I should say, Brandon, that's an agency named Demotech that comes in and they independently verify the financials of the carriers, which really is an important protection for the consumer, right? We want to make sure that carriers have enough money to pay claims. And if they don't, that's a concern because that means your claim may not get paid, right?
Right.
So Demotech came in and they pulled their rating. They said, you guys need to raise $100 million or we're going to pull your rating, because they've lost so much money because of a lot of the fraud that's occurred, a lot of the assignment of benefit fraud, a lot of the roof fraud, a lot of the challenges that we have in our state with attorney fees and various things. And they were about $50 million underwater, $50 million that they could not, again, get to, nor raise that additional $50 million that the state wanted. So they officially went into receivership. As of March 1st, they are done. They are transitioning their policies to a brand new company named Slide Insurance. And Slide has literally just started. So I never want to speak badly about insurance carriers or anyone particularly. They're actually a carrier that we never represented. That being said, I know the name. Surprised they went out of business. If you have a policy with St. John's, you would be well to take a look at it. And again, we're always happy to review the market for you and see if there's another option that may be a little bit better fit, as opposed to going with now a brand new company that we really have no track record on at all. So, as always, our listeners can reach out to us at tampabayinsurance.com, and we're always happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key is understanding these changes that are going to happen as we evolve through these different markets. Everybody knows right now the real estate market's hot. You think back about, 2008, how the market changed at that point. That's why we want to bring this show to the people and have people understand that markets change, economies change. We're about to go through some really interesting times here with the real estate market as well. I got a copy of the Epoch Times here. The Federal Reserve's looking to change, raise interest rates 9 times consecutively as policymakers attempt to rein in inflationary pressures, says economist at JP. So anyways, you look at the changes in the marketplace and how can you stay ahead of the curve. One of the ways you can is by engaging with this show and our expert contributors like Doug LEVI. He's the owner of Strategic Insurance. TampaBayInsurance.com is his URL. And Doug, so when you think about receivership, basically that's a fancy way of saying bankruptcy in a sense, where the receiver is going to take assets, sell them off, try to pay creditors what they owe, what they can, and ultimately it's a bad picture for the industry as a whole.
No doubt. There's no doubt it is, Brandon. And again, it's really unfortunate for the clients and people that have the carrier right now. The other news that was also pretty significant. There's another carrier named Universal Insurance. They had to raise $100 million to stay profitable. Now, they were able to do that capital raise. They were able to go to their investors and do that. And they're an even larger carrier in the state, so they were able to do that. But right now, really, the other takeaway would be this is a time to reach out to your legislatures, reach out to your state senators, and make your voices known, because Senate legislation, congressional legislation at the state level is literally going on right now. There are various bills that are being looked at to perhaps do some reforms for insurance to make the rates more affordable. So now would really be a time, if you're one of those people and you're like, man, my insurance is crazy, it keeps going up, I can't take this, reach out to your state senator. You can literally just go online and Google, find my Florida senator, find my Florida congressman, and send them an email and let them know. Because unfortunately, Brandon, we're at the spot where there's going to have to be some legislative reforms for us really to see some significant movement in the insurance marketplace here in Florida.
Yeah, and what's really frustrating, what I'm seeing too, is just the attack on the middle class over the last 18 to 24 months. Just a constant attack. You got inflation, which is a tax on the poor and middle class. You know, the elites, they escape that because the inflation is actually good for them, because a lot of them have borrowed so much money, they have this debt, but it's like paying nothing on your debt, a very small interest rate on your debt. So they love it when we're in an inflationary cycle. So combine that with what you just said about it, the insurance markets, the real estate market. Look at that. You've got hedge funds coming in, buying up inventory, turning it into high overpriced rentals in a lot of cases, just jacking the rents up on people. So you look at just the overall, almost every angle, Americans are getting screwed quite literally from these types of scenarios with these elites, the political class. We've got to have some relief at some point. You've got to, income, the jobs, you look at some of the income and the jobs that are out there. It's just a challenge for people. So that, that kind of brings me to a point here also for more and more people looking for side income, side hustles, and, doing things on the side of their regular 9-to-5 job, Doug.
Yeah. So great lead into Brandon, just like I know you guys have some opportunities always. We've got opportunities here at our agency. We created a model called insurancesidehustling.com. People can go right to that website, see some of the press releases that were done in Yahoo Finance and Market Watch and Florida Trend Magazine about what we're doing. And really, we're just helping people get in the insurance business, primarily doing home, auto insurance, any other line of personal insurance coverage. That could be boat, flood insurance, etc. You can do it part-time and you can do it remote. We show you how to get licensed. You can get licensed in a matter of a few weeks. And then we really help teach you, train you on everything else. We help provide the carriers. We help provide the support. Talk to you about networking and marketing and how to obtain business, and then we actually service it for you. So it can be a great way to really earn some income in an industry that, everyone needs, no one loves, but everybody needs, everyone budgets for, and, a way to really help other people as well. We always enjoy and we feel great when we're able to work with a client and save them money and find gaps in their coverage and say, hey, you didn't know what you didn't know, and we're going to put you in a better spot. It's really a way that we're able to serve the community. So anyone that's interested in that, again, you can go directly to Insurance Side Hustling. That's all spelled out.com. Get more info, and we'd love to talk to you.
InsuranceSideHustling.com?
Yeah, Insurance Side Hustling, all spelled out.com.
Good stuff. All right, we're talking with Doug Levi here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's the owner of Strategic Insurance and does a great job with all of our real estate referrals. Anybody we've ever put him in touch with, nothing but great things. Actually saved some deals for us dealing with flood insurance. I remember we got on the phone one time with the representative from, I think it was directly with FEMA, and they were making errors. They were making mistakes. And Doug and his team was able to jump in and help us save the deal. I mean, I remember it was a condo deal a couple years ago that, so there's a different level of professionals out there, and not to say there's not some great folks in every industry, but in every industry there's good, better, and best, and Doug and his team are definitely the best at what they do. So what's a flood update look like, Doug?
Yeah, so in terms of flood insurance, the big news still was the changes that FEMA made towards the end of last year that were under Flood 2.0. We talked a little bit last time, Brandon, that they're in terms of like the systems and ratings, all of the carriers are being moved over to this new FEMA system called Flood 2.0. So again, it's just a good idea to have an eye on your flood insurance, have an eye on your renewal. If you are in a flood zone, you may see your rate go up, you may see it go down. It really depends on some of the rating factors that got changed in that 2.0 program. As always, we just recommend reaching out and letting us shop. We work with over 25 carriers. And all our goal is to try and find the best coverage and best rates, and then have a process and a system to do that year over year for you to make sure that we're staying competitive and we're staying ahead of the market. So we'd love to help anyone out there that's got flood insurance questions or concerns, or maybe you got a letter in the mail and you're not quite understanding it, or you're not hearing back from your agent, or you're not hearing back from your carrier. Always happy to help.
Yeah, that's important. Get that checkup as well. Got the review. Doug offers a review as well. A lot of times people just constantly, or repetitively almost every year, just kind of renew what they currently had, the year after year, Doug. And there's some mistakes in that philosophy as well.
Yeah, no doubt. We're big on, we call it protection reviews. We offer all of our clients every year an opportunity to do a protection review. You can tell one of our agents, one of our advisors, and go through your policy. Not everyone wants to take us up on that just from a time standpoint, but we always offer that. We have communication that goes out to our clients with postcards and emails and all sorts of ways to communicate and make sure we're staying in touch, that we're being proactive. And, when most people look at their budget, insurance is certainly a pretty big line item, right? After you've got your rent and food expenses, insurance is pretty big, right? So you look at your auto, your home, and then if you get in, you have any life insurance or disability income, or you have rental property, or if you have a business and you're a business owner, there's a whole other set of insurances that you need, right? So it's normally a pretty big line item, and it's one that's year after year. It's not a one-time cost, right? So we really look at managing that cost for you over a long period of time. We want to be your insurance quarterback, if you will. Make sure we're finding you best rates, best coverages, and doing that in a consistent process for you, because especially here in Florida, the market's so dynamic. It changes so much. I just saw an article the other day, Brandon, that said that we are the most expensive market in the entire country for homeowners insurance right now. The average premium in the state of Florida is $3,600 a year. Wow. Right? So depending if you live in the water and you're coastal or you need flood insurance, it's probably well more than that. If you're listening and you're in a high gated community, or you need a really, really big policy, or maybe you're down in South Florida, forget it, right? So it's just super expensive, and we understand that. We understand that pain, and we do everything we can to make sure we're getting the best rates and best coverages out there.
Yep, good stuff. All right, Doug Levi, find him online, TampaBayInsurance.com. Doug, thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
Always good talking to you guys. Have a great day.
You as well.
Hey, Brandon.
All right, we'll take a quick break there. When we come back, we got John Long in the house, United States Institute Against Human Trafficking. He's got a wealth of knowledge for you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And one of the articles, too, it will discuss children are spending at minimum 50% more time online, which then gives predators even that much more time to be a predator and to target children. We're going to talk about that coming up right here on the other side. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. Here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
Welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We always like to help you win in your real estate deals, commercial deals, vacant land, residential, of course. We're a top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay, so we help you maximize the exposure when you're selling, work with a great buyer agent when you're buying, and investing. We can help you win in those spaces as well. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this segment. We are talking about Discovery Golf Car. It seems like everybody has a golf car these days. Lots of fun, especially if you live in those communities where you can drive them easily. They've got the Easy Go Star EV Cushman. They offer new and pre-owned. You can rent or buy, and they also have mobile repair. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers just by mentioning that you heard about them right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we like to feature our real estate listings as well and help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovation with radio and TV and internet marketing. We got a property at 14121 Dade, 7th Street, Dade City, that is. Restaurant, you got a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment up top. So it makes for a great site for like a live-in type manager or someone on site that can live there, maybe your head cook or chef. 14121 7th Street in Dade City. This is downtown. So downstairs, you've got the traditional restaurant style. You got a banquet setup on the second floor, as well as that 1-bedroom apartment. Great opportunity for an established restaurant right here in downtown Dade City. Plenty of parking, and it's just a great opportunity for that entrepreneurial mind to be able to make some money and grow a nice business here in Tampa Bay. As you can see, all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, and we also have John Long in studio. So John Long, wanted to read this article. I was just kind of looking at. It says, children spending 50% more time online. Teresa Helm, survivor of sexual assault perpetrated by Jeffrey Epstein, telling Epoch TV's American thought leaders that sexual predators have taken advantage of the pandemic to target more children.
Absolutely. And we know during this pandemic, kids are working school from home. People are working from home. You got kids that are at home online doing schoolwork, but with probably little supervision.
Yep.
They did one study where they interviewed 20,000 school-age kids. These are high school kids that they interviewed, and 20% of them had video chatted with a complete stranger at some point in the last 12 months.
Wow.
So 20% of that 20,000 high school kids are having unimpeded access to the internet. You've got the computer in your pocket, and they're talking video chatting, not just chatting, not just phone calls, but having face-to-face video chats with complete strangers from across the world.
Wow.
And so our fear is, we know that as this pandemic continues, or people are working from home with little supervision from a boss, that they're perusing the internet. It makes a prime opportunity for predators to start grooming kids that are also online, and again with very little supervision. Typically, when somebody was a buyer of sex, what they would do, it was Monday through Friday between the hours of 2 and 4 p.m. were the prime times when people would set up dates for either that night or that weekend. That includes buying children, buying women, buying other men. That was happening Monday through Friday, 2 to 4, where everybody was typically working at an office, in a cubicle, having coworkers next to them. And if they were willing to do that then, what are people willing to do now that they're working from home typically, or working remotely and don't have any supervision?
Right.
So we know it's going to increase, and it's very scary.
Yeah, and you look at also the southern border being opened, and the crime activity, the MS-13, crime, gangsters coming through, the fentanyl, the drugs coming through, because they use drugs in a lot of cases to put these people into a perpetual state of vulnerability, let's say.
Yeah, sure. Somebody who's a victim of trafficking either will self-medicate, or they're being medicated by their trafficker using some form of drugs, some form of substance, because that's how you keep somebody under control. And then if you're the victim and you're dealing with all of this trauma, how do you deal with that? Sometimes it's substance, to help you self-medicate, to not have to deal with the trauma that they're going through.
Yeah.
And when we look at, gang activity, the border, right now, firearms is the biggest criminal activity in the United States. Second to that is human trafficking. And we know trafficking will slowly take over drug sales. I'm sorry, not firearms, but drug sales. Human trafficking is going to take that over, because if you sell a pound of something, you've got to go find another pound, transport it, cut it up, find buyers. But if you're selling humans, that's something you can sell over and over again. In fact, most survivors say when they were being trafficked, they were sold at least 10 times every day.
Wow. Wow, and you've got willing partners, it seems, in our federal government and the cartels from our southern neighbor to the south there, and of course a lot of the other countries to our south. So it's a bad combination. And then you got the distraction of, we've got to get all these kids immunized and shot with the COVID-19. You know, it's just unbelievable, all the stuff coming out about that. Stay with us. We got more from John Long here. He's representing the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to take a quick break. We come back more with John Long, U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rives.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Johnny, you good?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rimes here. Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. A couple of hot listings here in Tampa Bay. 5014 Pompano Drive. We got a waterfront property here. Beautiful home with a boat dock, bay access to the Gulf of Mexico. You got a private pool, fenced-in backyard, completely renovated. Just a gorgeous home. Back on the market. We had a buyer fall out that sometimes happens. 5014 Pompano Drive in Newport Richey. It's in the Gulf Harbors community. Just a gorgeous property here with community clubhouse and boat ramps available as well. 5014 Pompano Drive, a hot listing from the Platinum MVP team. Keller Williams Realty, 820 Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs. This is another great opportunity. This is a commercial property on a corner lot location. You got the walkability of downtown Tarpon Springs. You walk to the sponge docks, you walk to the awesome restaurants in that area, and you relocate your business. Maybe you've got an attorney's office, title company, mortgage, real estate, insurance. Could be any type of professional office, or if you wanted to sell, there's could be a good location for a shop. 820 Pinellas Avenue, Tarpon Springs, 2-bedroom, 2-bath property right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And giving a shout out to Victor and his team at Chad Irrigation. They just hooked us up in our backyard. We finished our pool project, and just real excited. They did a great job back there. They do a great job on all the referrals and folks that we send them through our real estate business. Chad Irrigation for all of your sprinkler and irrigation needs. Victor and his team at Chad Irrigation do a great job. Tell them the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, John. So John Long, U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking, USIAHT.org. The southern border is really one thing that's just getting so out of hand. I mean, it's been out of hand for a long time with these people coming across, and then they're trafficking these vulnerable people from state to state, hotel room to hotel room, drugged up, and it just seems like it's insanity, really.
It is.
The southern border.
It's getting worse. In the last 6 months, there's been more unaccompanied children at the border than any other time in our history at that border. And so we've got these kids coming with nobody. And so we know that those kids are more vulnerable to be trafficked. They're being used for sex trafficking as well as labor trafficking. These kids are then going to be put to work against their will. And then when we look at things, Russia and Ukraine right now, in Ukraine, in the last few weeks, there's 340,000 unaccompanied children that have been rescued. 340,000 unaccompanied children. And so where do those kids go? You know, are they shipped to the United States? Are they moved, to other areas? So we know that those unaccompanied kids are at a higher risk to be trafficked in sex trafficking and labor trafficking.
Wow. And that was in the Ukraine?
That was in the Ukraine, yes.
Wow. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Just the humanitarian crisis,
Sure.
the barbaric acts that it seems Putin's putting through. And then finally, It seems like more and more countries are forming an alliance against that. But I've listened to a lot of history on it. The history goes way back with that whole area. But it's crazy to see that happening over there. But look at our southern border here, right? So you've got all type of jihadists, the Muslim, whatever religion, or they're coming across the border. In a lot of cases, they don't like us. They don't like America. We killed their family members at some point in history, whether it's in the Middle East or whatever war. All it takes is a handful of these guys to come in and start blowing up buildings, and Biden has just turned a blind eye to it.
Yeah, it's not good for us as a country. They're not coming over here as patriots. They're not coming over here because they really want to be American and help push the American agenda. There's a different agenda, and there's underlying reasons why those kind of people are coming across our border.
That's right, like Rashida Tlaib and the other AOC. Some of those, they're just totally anti-American in their rhetoric. A lot of things they do. All right, so if people want to get involved, how can they get involved? The United States Institute Against Human Trafficking. I can't think of a much better organization to support. When you're helping kids, keeping them from basically giving them life. You're giving them a life instead of having them fall into the traps of being trafficked for years and years, possibly a full lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can you get involved? How can you help? Is educate yourself, educate your sphere of influence, educate your family, educate your children. When we go back to the social media use and the computer use, be involved in your kids' lives online. Know who they're talking to, know what they're looking at. But we, on our website, the usiaht.org, we have training for individuals within the community on what to look for, how to identify human trafficking, what to do if you've discovered or you think you have somebody who may be a victim of trafficking. But the greatest thing we can do is to get educated. The second thing we could do is we're a nonprofit organization that depend on the donations of individuals. And so financially, if it's something you want to support to help us fight the fight of trafficking, not only do we fight the fight, helping stop the demand, but we also operate a safe house. Our safe house is dedicated to biologically born males. It's here in the state of Florida. It is the only safe house in the nation dedicated to serving boys. And so we rely heavily on private donations to make sure that house continues to operate, that there's a refuge for these kids to get to.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so training online, finding out what to look for. I think that's some of the key tips that you talked about on the show before. Can you share with us like what to look for so we can kind of maybe recognize that?
Yeah, what to look for. Oftentimes if somebody's being trafficked, they're with an adult, typically somebody probably that's older than they are, that controls the situation. You ask the individual a question, that gentleman or that woman answers the question. In the medical profession, we see this a lot where survivors go to the ER, and while they're in the ER with the person that's trafficking them.
Right.
They're in the room with them, they're controlling the situation. So if you have someone who's not allowed to talk, doesn't know where they are, doesn't have an ID, isn't allowed to hold their own money, is dressed inappropriate for the weather because they're moved from place to place. So again, on our website, it goes into more details on what to look for, how to capture those or see those red flags, and then again, what to do. Always call local law enforcement. We don't ever ask anybody to become investigators or to get in the middle of anything, but allow local law enforcement to get involved.
Right. Yeah. It reminds me of that movie too, that I think it happened outside of Boston, and it was I think it was called Basement, where the guy kept the daughter down in the basement for years. I mean, it was 20 something years. That was and that's how she got finally freed, is she went to the ER. She played on his emotions a little bit, went to the ER. Of course, he pregnant. He had impregnated her. Just disgusting story the way it went down. But I can imagine, that stuff happens more and more often than people believe. That's the thing. People don't believe that it happens. They'll go out and buy a lottery ticket and, I'm going to win. They'll get their hopes up, right? But they don't believe that the flip side of something negative like that could happen.
And it does happen. It's happening in our backyard. Yeah. In the United States, there's between 100 and 300,000 kids trafficked every year. Here in the state of Florida, there's hundreds of kids that are trafficked every year. And kind of in reference to that movie, The Basement, there was a kid that we rescued in the St. Pete area that was stuck. He was living in a trailer for a year. Nobody knew he was there.
Wow.
He was being trafficked in that situation for a year until somebody finally asked the right questions and the kid was rescued.
Right. That's all you got to do is take a step in the right direction, ask the right questions, call. If you don't know, it doesn't hurt to call, right?
Sure.
Just get a checkup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Get involved. Be involved. And, that we always say, if you see something, say something.
Right.
It's not, now that people are educated, you can't just be educated. Now you got to do something with that education.
Right.
We just can't turn a blind eye and say trafficking happens in third world countries. It happens in rural communities. It doesn't happen in Tampa.
Right.
But we know that Tampa is the 13th largest city in the nation when it comes to trafficking.
Wow, for the most amount of trafficking. Yeah. And Florida's number 3, I think.
Florida's number 3. California, Texas, and then Florida.
California, Texas, and then Florida. The dubious distinction of being number 3. Is it because we have so many ports?
So many ports. We're a transit community. We're a hospitality community. We hold a lot of major events. And we've got a large pornography presence here in the state of Florida. So there's a lot of things that draw people to here. It's a destination place,
right?
And sometimes when people are out of town, they'll do things that they may not do in their own community.
Right. I remember hearing stories or reading articles too about, especially in Orlando. You'll see the kids at the park for the day, and the dads are out. You know, catting around or whatever they call it.
It's been estimated that 20% of men in the United States will pay for sex at some point in their life.
Wow.
So 20% of all men in the United States.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work over there. Congratulations on the 5-year anniversary, too. That was a fun time. We went to that gala a few months back. And,
I appreciate that. And we have a 5K coming up March 26th.
March 26th, you got a 5K.
Yeah, you can register online on our website. Even if you don't want to run, just register and donate your money and stay at home and tell people you ran a 5K.
There you go.
But it's March 26th here in Tampa, I think Al Lopez Park.
Al Lopez Park. Yes. Get the T-shirt, right?
Yeah, get the T-shirt and go home and tell everybody you ran.
USIAHT, United States Institute Against Human Trafficking.org. John Long, longtime friend of the program.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
All right, my pleasure. All right, coming back here, we got Dan Menikheim, Prohealth Pest Control, coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to give you some tips, some practical tips, things that you can do to, help your home. The different efficiencies in the home. Think about the air conditioning system, the roofing system. We're going to talk about some key consumer tips with Dan Menikheim here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter. Consumer Quarterback Show page out there as well, and we'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in
813-917-1894.
Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing. Check out consumerqb.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
Looking for a venue to host your next business or family event? Make it Largo Event Center. The Consumer Quarterback Show has used the Largo Event Center, and the hall and service you get is fantastic. Over 8,500 square feet of meeting space, perfect for events, expos, and trade shows. Upstairs offers space for smaller meetings and groups to include use of their lounge and game room. Plenty of room outside for car shows or food truck events and concerts. Largo Event Center is just west of US 19 on 126th Avenue. For booking and details, visit largoeventcenter.com. That's largoeventcenter.com. Or call Guy at 727-776-3442.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. Got a commercial property listing here. It's vacant land / commercial, 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard. This is a $1.7 million listing of mine. Great opportunity for builder, developers, entrepreneurs here. 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard. What you've got is about 7 acres of land, zone C2, commercial general. So you've got an opportunity here in Tampa Bay. It's on the north side of the US 41 corridor up there, and it's got an existing building, used to be a nursery. So this would be a highest and best use I think you could put in, maybe even some of the self-storage facilities, maybe a boutique hotel or an assisted living facility. Great opportunity to own real estate here in Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Somewhere sunny and 75. All right, do we have Dan Minikheim on the line? Dan Minikheim, how are you, sir? Do we have Dan? I don't think we do. Prohealth Pest Control. Okay, so we're expecting Dan. We don't have him, but we do have John Long in the house. I want to play a quick clip here to talk a little bit about the migration patterns that we already kind of know about, but it's interesting to hear. This is from one of the podcasts I listened to in the morning. I believe it's Daily Wire.
So we've been hearing anecdotally all year about the supposed flock to red states, but now there's a growing pile of data to back that up. First, the Census Bureau released their annual report on which states gained the most new residents in 2021. And of the top 10 biggest gainers, 8 were red states. Despite all the negative media coverage surrounding their governor's handling of the pandemic, Texas and Florida came in at first and second, respectively, gaining 500,000 new residents between them. Next came Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Utah, and Tennessee, which all added 50 to 100,000 each.
So people are definitely flocking to those red states.
Yeah, and there are other metrics that support that claim as well. For example, the National Mover Study every year looks into which states had the highest percentage of inbound moves compared to outbound. They found that 7 of the 10 states with the highest rate of new residents by that metric were also red. And if you reverse that figure and look at which states had the highest percentage of outbound versus inbound moves, it was dominated by blue states, with just 2 red states in the top 10.
Anecdotally, we hear a lot about people leaving California and New York, but what do the numbers actually show?
Well, again, the data completely backs up those anecdotal claims that we'd all kind of been feeling for the last year or so. The 5 states with the highest rate of outbound moves were New Jersey, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, and California. So really the bluest of the blue states. And the Census Bureau data shows...
So we know the trends, right? So people are leaving from lockdown states, right, mask mandate states. They don't want to be muzzled with face diapers. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want their jobs to be taken away. They don't want to be locked down. And again, it goes back to me. Again, my heart's for the middle class, right? Because I grew up self-employed. My family, both sides of my family self-employed. That's middle class, small businesses, And then what the government did last year is they come in and lock everybody down. But, oh, yeah, you can still have liquor stores open. Oh, the big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, oh, you can be open. But, I wonder why. Maybe because your board of directors share the same board of directors with our friends in the clique at the New York City clubs and the California clubs, right? So it's attack on the middle class, the middle income earners, and it's just from all angles. The CDC, it's been shown that Pfizer and Moderna, all the big companies have the same board members as the governing bodies. Project Veritas videos show this clear as day. Thank God for the internet. We can see this stuff now.
Yeah, right? Just imagine if we didn't have the internet. Right. How much more people could get away with.
Exactly.
The exposure is great for us as individuals, as citizens. And you're right, we're stomping out the middle class. It's the mom and the pop shop that took it the hardest, the ones that were forced to close down, live off their savings for as long as they could, and then eventually have to fold. And then who do you sell that to? Who do you give that to? Nobody wants it. Because you can't prove revenue. You can't prove that it's a profitable organization or business. And so then they have to close their doors. After being in business for 40, 50 years, they were forced to close because somebody decided that they weren't good enough to stay alive or stay, open. Like
they weren't. What was the term they used, John? Essential.
They
weren't
employees.
Essential.
Yes. Yeah, and it's amazing who they made essential and who wasn't essential.
Churches, no. Voluntary. You don't want to go worship church. No, that's not essential.
Right.
Even though it's voluntary.
Right.
Voluntary.
Right. I don't know what the barometer was for essential and not essential, but it was very subjective.
I'll tell you what it was. Did your board members kick a certain amount of money to my campaign or not?
Well, follow the money. I guess is what people always say. Follow the money and you'll find the truth.
That's right. So back to these trends, people are moving in record numbers. Texas, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Utah, and Tennessee. Those are your top red states. People receiving, those U-Haul trucks. You can't get them going the other way. You get them coming from California. You can't get one going to California. Absolutely. Right? So California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and Connecticut. The common trend there is a lot of Democrat-run counties and cities and states. And people are fleeing in record numbers. Sure. And it's what was amazing, too, to see how they held on to this power. Yeah. Even right now, I was just reading, Maryland Board of Education lifts statewide school mask mandate. They finally voted 12-2 just recently. Authorities noted that COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, deaths are declining nationwide, et cetera, et cetera. Duh, it's been that way.
Yeah, and you're right. We don't want to be forced to do things that don't seem necessary to be done. Right. Just to prove that you have the power to do something doesn't mean you should do something. Right. And people are coming to Florida because we're open. Yeah. We're back to what life should be. We have our freedoms. We're able to go to church. We're able to go to the store. I can go eat dinner with my family out, without somebody telling me I got to go sit in the parking lot because it's not okay to be inside. Yeah. So people, I understand why people are coming, and we know that flood of people bring new problems for us as a state. Once you get an influx of that many people coming that fast, it's hard to keep up with public services. Fire departments, police departments, education systems all take a hit. As they try to absorb all these people that are coming to our state. It's great for us as an economic perspective because that's bringing a lot of taxes and a lot of income to us as a state. Yeah. But it also brings a heap of problems as well.
Yeah, and I was meeting with one of my friends that's a county commissioner up north, and he was talking about just the influx, the moratorium. Some areas are saying, hey, we're not building any more single families or townhomes here. We've got to balance this out. We got to slowly. I got a property under contract. It's 30 acres. It's zoned industrial. The buyer wants to convert them into townhomes. I was talking about him that project to him. He said, well, let's go take a look at it. So we drove. We literally sat, and went and looked at it from the road. And he says, well, the challenge is industrial. We want to keep as job producing because if you have industrial, you're going to potentially have jobs if you have some type of an industry there. Maybe you're recycling materials or it's a fabrication, you're welding or something, and that's going to create jobs. But to put single family homes or townhomes there, sounds great on one hand. Yeah, you're increasing the tax base. You're providing housing, but really jobs are what's king in those types of scenarios. And it's really a balance too.
Sure. If there's not a support system for individuals to live there, then individuals aren't going to live there. Right. If I've got to drive an hour and a half to get to work, I'm probably going to work or move closer to where I work. Yep. So there's a lot of support things that have to happen within the community to keep up with what's coming our way, and it's not slowing down. Yeah, people continue to move down here, and we continue to expand. I was just out in Pasco this morning, and just driving down 54, where it used to be nothing but cows. Right, is slowly becoming a bigger city. Dade City was something we laughed about a while ago, but now it's all developing out there. And it's just going to continue up.
You know what I hate to see? I mean, even though some of the restaurants I like Chipotle or whatever, it's pretty good food, but it's like national chain after national chain. After Anchor Tenant, after Target, after you have that. And then the other thing I want to mention too about working from home. Now, though, more than ever, there are, there was an article written up recently called Zoom Towns, kind of like they used to call it boom towns. When you move out to the suburbs, you're building a lot of homes. Now you got Zoom Towns because people can Zoom and they can be on their device, from wherever and work remotely, which is great for a lot of people. But there's nothing like being in person, especially if you're in sales and you have that resonation of when you're vibing with that client. But there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to that. By the way, if you just joined us, this is John Long here, United States Institute Against Human Trafficking, in studio with me. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. But so there's a lot of things happening, and it's and a lot of it seems to be coming to a head right now too. It really, you read in the Bible and you think about end times and the one world government and stuff. You see what's happening with this globalist regime. And man, it makes you get a little scared about it.
It is scary. It is scary. But this is a time when the church needs to step up.
Right.
This is a time when men and women of our country need to step up and start making some noise and start sticking up for what we feel is right. And when we look at human trafficking specifically, and we look at the church, this is something that the church really should be fighting as well.
Exactly.
Something the church can stand up, get behind, and really help us fight that fight of ending trafficking in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's right. There's no in between there, right? It's either you protect the children, you love the children. These are God's children, And going back to what we were talking about earlier, but the war on the middle class, these are God-given rights. Nature is God and God is nature, right? So the government shouldn't be stepping in and saying, "Oh, your business can't operate. We're going to lock you down." I remember interviewing the sheriffs at the time, and they were saying a couple of the sheriffs were saying, "Look, that's not on my radar. I'm not here to enforce people wearing a mask or not. I got other serious stuff going on."
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
it's and then we could beat this up all day, but then you're putting the pressure on a direct care staff or a salesperson who's selling shoes to force somebody to put a mask on.
Right.
We got to pick our fights, and that's not a fight I think was worth fighting.
Exactly. All right, good stuff. Support the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking and consumerqb.com as well. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you check out consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.